Here to tell us more, please welcome Meera Syal. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
That's so lovely to be on. Thank you so much for asking me.
Now, the book itself came out in hardback. It's just been released in paperback now. What's been the reaction to it? Because obviously the story itself is such an incredibly strong topic. Have you had some great feedback?
Yes. It's such an emotive subject, isn't it? And my central character is a woman in her late 40s called Sharma, who's already got a teenage daughter, has met the love of her life after a messy first marriage. Toby, you've read it.
Yeah, it's lovely, I love it.
Thank you. And he's desperate for a child. And as we know, for many women, love can happen the second time round. You're the wrong age, you still want a child with this new partner. So her best option, because adoption takes so long, is to hire an Indian surrogate. Because I didn't know before I researched this, but the surrogacy industry in India is the biggest in the world. It's worth $4.5 billion a year.
Wow.
It's
Amazing.
massive.
Yes.
And there are two reasons. One, because it's unregulated at the moment, and the second is because it's very, very cheap. So what would cost you $100,000 in America will cost you 20 in India.
And this industry is producing babies for foreign parents.
Yes, mostly foreign parents. There are some Indian couples that use them, but the majority of the clients come from abroad.
And contrast that with if you want to have a surrogate baby here. It's very, very difficult, isn't it?
It's very difficult because the problem is there's no international surrogacy law, so it's actually illegal in some countries. In other countries like here, you can't advertise to be a surrogate and you can't be paid. You have to do it out of the goodness of your heart, and you would just get paid expenses, so it's very difficult to find one. And because of the fact there's no international surrogacy law, there have been cases where foreign couples have had a baby in India, have tried to take the child back to the country that they come from, found it's illegal there, and the child's been taken off them and put into care.
Oh, no. That's dreadful.
It's terrible.
But in the book, you talk about women in the villages that are pregnant. They leave the village that day with their bump, and they come back with electrical goods. It's because the women are so poor. That's why they're carrying the babies for other women.
And their husbands encourage it as well.
There have been cases of women. I mean, of course, you're open to exploitation if there's no protection, and that's actually what's been happening. So, yes, there have been cases of husbands virtually pimping out their women. But the sad thing is, what else have these women got to sell? If they had an education, if they had other means of income, they'd do that, wouldn't they?
But also, the other side of it is also the demand will always be there, not just with older women, but with gay couples.
Of course.
So that's a massive growth area where, gay men want children, and the only way they're going to have those children is using surrogates, and they can be exploited by the people having the babies.
It's so complicated, isn't it? Because we probably all know people that have been through the pain of infertility and the lengths you would go to have a child. But on the other hand, is this the best way to do it? And that's why I was so interested in this central relationship, because what is that like, that intense relationship that another woman 5,000 miles away holds the answer to your dreams, and you both need each other for that 9 months. And in my book, it's a part thriller, so the power balance between the women gradually shifts.
And we won't give away the end, but it's very good. And what I find so fascinating, Meera, is obviously you're sort of prompted to go down this avenue by watching a documentary, The House of Surrogates. But also there must have been a bit of you that was intrigued because of your own personal experience in terms of the massive age gap with your two children.
Indeed.
But having a child sort of later in life. What do you think that your daughter makes of the fact that obviously you were starting again, having a child later? Is that something that maybe you're interested in next novels that are coming up, moving away from the sort of surrogacy side of things, just in terms of... Because I find that in myself quite interesting. Starting again, having a child later. How does that first child feel?
Well, the blended family is, with us, and a lot of them are very happy and successful. But that's a huge thing, isn't it? That huge age gap. Firstly, finding a holiday that everyone wants to go on is impossible. But there is that thing, whatever the age gap, I mean, in my case, it's 13 years, and you think, oh, they're much too old not to get jealous. They get jealous.
Yeah, they do.
It's so odd. It's because
11 years between my first two, and they were really jealous.
12 years between my eldest son and Kira, actually, Would you then advise your daughter to, when if she does want to have children, to have them earlier?
This is such a tricky one, isn't it? I think we are obliged from a physiological point of view, to say you know that it is harder as you get older. On the other hand, we all know of older women that have had children, and science has made some of it possible. I suppose the interesting question for me is, where's the cut-off point?
Yeah.
Where do you say
At the moment,
no
there isn't
more?
really one because of science. There are women in their 50s and 60s.
And 60s, and then cases of women that have had children and died from taking the drugs, or just that they were old.
Yeah, but I can't be judgmental about women in their 60s wanting children, because there are plenty of older men who marry over and over again, and their latest wives will be having children while the men are well into their 60s and 70s.
But you're talking about the physical, the physicality of having it later.
Yeah, but the urge to be a mother, it won't go away.
No,
and,
that's true.
you can't really deny. And a lot of women will think now, well, science gives me the chance. And it didn't give that women of, like my generation, the chance 10, 20 years ago. But now, if I wanted, God forbid, you know, someone in the world would come up with the ultimate horror, the JSP test tube baby.
But in the cases of the men, what they had were wives, young wives, to look after those children when they're gone.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Very, very quickly, goodness gracious me, is it going to come back?
We're doing a one-off special next year. Listen, we would
start a campaign.
I think we should start a campaign.
We'll start
Twitter
today.
campaign to bring it back.
We will. We're starting it right now. Meera Syal, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We get some pretty fabulous guests here on Loose Women. There's plenty more where that came from. Just click here to watch more interviews with a whole range of famous faces. And click here to subscribe. It's free, so you'd be silly not to, really.
Yeah, and I went to a farmer's and I think he proper done me over. Because it ended up, it's now a huge pot-belly pig. It's living on a farm. It's
about 25 stone.
It's been eating ducks and everything like that. It's been a nightmare.
What did you think?